Today's talk is part of the theme that you've been exploring all month. And today specifically, we're talking about naturally divine. And I love that I get a chance to be with this community, and because I'm here often enough, you all know that I cannot possibly start a talk with such ambiguous words as that without having some definitions around them and having some idea of what we're talking about. So naturally divine, we're going to break that down real quick. Nature or natural. The definition I found that I love this so well is not made by humans. So keep that in mind as we go forward this morning. When we're talking natural, when I'm using words related to nature or natural, it's not made by humans. However, the secondary definition of natural in the human experience is in agreement with your character. Okay, so what exactly is our character? It's our mental and moral qualities that are distinctive to you. So we have our nature. It's not made by human, so it must be made by something beyond human. It's in agreement with your character, your unique and distinctive mental and moral qualities and beliefs. We talk about beliefs around here a lot, don't we? Yeah, we do. Divine, the root of divine is godlike. And a deeper definition is characteristics befitting a deity. We'll talk about what a deity is in just a second, but I want to draw us to that fact that even the divine comes back to our mental and moral qualities distinctive to us, our characteristics, the characteristics befitting a deity. Now, if we were a polytheistic, taking a polytheistic view of the world, many gods, then a deity is a god or a goddess. We live in a more monotheistic society, belief system, where we look at the creator or the supreme being, and we are each part of that. So being divine, being naturally divine, means that we are in agreement with our character, and our character is befitting God. Pure science of mind. Pure science of mind. And when we look at one of the quotes that's provided for us today to draw us all together across the entire Centers for Spiritual Living movement, we want to look at a quote by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, I've changed a little bit of this. You'll recognize it when you see it. Life waits upon humanity's discovery of natural laws, our discovery of ourselves, and our discovery of our relationship to the great whole. This is on page 72 of The Science of Mind. Holmes lays it out that the secret of the universe, if you will, is reliant upon our ability to discover the natural laws, how those laws discover ourselves, discover who we really are, what our character is, and discover our relationship to the greater whole, how we use our natural divinity to serve humanity's evolution. That's part of what I believe we're all about. I think that's why we get together on Sundays to explore and look and consider how are we creating collectively a world that works for everyone. So we want to start by looking at the natural laws, at what's these natural laws that are out there. We often call them universal principles. Sometimes the word law trips people up. We use law in our as a term within our prayer work that often can trip people up a little bit in their understanding. I invite you to think of it as exactly what, the universal principles. This is the way the world works. And if we use the word law, what we recognize is we really can't break the law. Now, we can try, we can pretend we don't know the law, but once we understand the principles by which the universe operates, then we have to use those laws, and those laws are active in us. I think one of the greatest examples of this is the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction is not new. Ernest Holmes wrote about it in his books, and The Secret made it famous about 20 years ago. But I invite you to consider for just a moment, think of the syndrome, the purple car or the red car or the car that you wish to have. Once you make a decision in your mind that you want something, well, the universal principles are saying, okay, and bringing to you examples of that. It doesn't mean that I snap my fingers and I have a brand new red sports car in my life. But what it means is that I am becoming aware of how this universal law attracts into my life examples and demonstrations of that which I say I want. Not necessarily what I believe I can have. We'll get to that in a little bit here. But the law works regardless of whether we believe in it or not. So as we become aware of the law of attraction, we discover we are already using the law of attraction, and perhaps it is using us. And then as we choose to use the law of attraction for humanity's benefit or growth, then the law of attraction moves and serves us in greater ways, not by its choice, because it has no choice, but because of our recognition of it. The more we recognize something, the more that we put our belief system behind something, the more it comes into our lives. Again, straightforward metaphysics and real straight science of mind. So what happens in there, however, when things don't go our way? When we don't get the job? When our candidate doesn't win? When the project we were getting, the team at work suddenly folds and everybody's got to go scramble and looking for a new place to be? All those things. Well, part of what I believe is these are the mental qualities that are distinct to us. When life happens, how do we respond? And there are a few traditional ways that people respond: through fear, through the belief that they're not enough, a fear of being a failure, a fear of being alone. These, what Gay Hendricks would call upper limit problems or fatal flaws, we believe we are flawed. And the longer we stay in that belief system, the more entrenched that belief becomes. So through what is happening, we become witness to something like the law of attraction or the law of gravity or the law, any of the natural laws in our world. And they call us into a sense of introspection of, what am I doing in my life? What am I believing about myself? So as we begin to discover ourselves, who we really are, then we open up a new idea. Your personality, and thus your life experience, is determined by what you believe about yourself. Many of us have been brought up with limiting beliefs. Whether we have had privilege in our lives or have had not had that privilege, we were brought up with beliefs that often we are called to overcome. In my life, I was taught that I could become anything I wanted, but there were serious limits to what I would choose based on economics, based on my current situation, based on some test scores that now, 40 years later, we don't even use. All these factors that others try to judge and try to limit us and try to tell us who we should be. Please don't ever let anyone tell you how to be, who to be. If we're going to follow Robin's call to let it begin with you and let it begin with me, then we have to be who we are here to be, not who other people think we're here to be. We've got to be part of our true nature. We've got to be our true nature, our true authentic self, our divine self. And when I consider and I look at how do we do that, well, number one, I look to the visioning practice. And those that know me know I love the visioning practice. We get together every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time on Facebook and YouTube and do a visioning together and have an opportunity. And you can find those in the archives and watch them at a later time. The idea is to be together in a meditative space of allowing our mental mind to shut down and quiet down, so our beliefs and our who we truly are may reveal itself. It's through visioning that I get to consider what it is my soul really wants me to accomplish. And that is going to be part of I invite you, this is part of the work for the week. Alice and I are going to load you up with a bunch of practices this week between considering what we believe. Another part that I ask you to consider this week and to ask yourself in meditation is, what does my soul want me to accomplish? What is the high vision for my soul? What is my soul's purpose for being on the planet at this time? It's a powerful question. And it's actually one that I've added to the visioning questions themselves. What is my soul's purpose for being on the planet at this time? And listen and listen and listen and listen and listen and listen again until we hear the call. Now, there's other ways to do this. Visioning is not the only one. And those that again know me know I've long spoken that we're approaching 8 billion people on the planet. By November, there's going to be 8 billion people on the planet. That means there's 8 billion different ways to get to God. I mean, there's 8 billion different ways to express and experience our natural divinity, our divine nature. The natural world, I believe, calls to each of us in our own way. I very, very rarely have met anyone who tells me that a weekend away in nature doesn't serve them good, or time alone in nature, whether it's a park in a city or whether it's out in the mountains. And I invite you here to put yourself in that place for a moment. Put yourself, what do you believe is the most amazing natural place on the planet for you? Where, if you could be anywhere, real or imagined, where would you go in nature? Is it in the ocean, swimming with the dolphins? Is it on in the mountains, just meditating under some aspens? Is it on a river? Is it in a desert? Is it just in the park down the street? I'm going to invite you to listen to the call of your soul through the call of nature. And this week, we're giving you all kinds of contemplations. We're not telling you to go out and march in the streets. We're not asking you to go do anything. We're not asking you to show up anywhere other than for yourself, with yourself. And we're asking you to show up for yourself, with yourself in nature. And what we're looking for are, what are your natural totems? What are those totems that call to you? Is it a dragonfly? Is it a butterfly? Here around our house recently, if anyone happens to follow my wife's page on Facebook, you've seen pictures of our sunflowers. And I love what's happened in the last 2 seasons of being in this home with our sunflowers, because last year we didn't know we had sunflowers. And a row of really big sunflowers popped up along the fence line. And we had all these great big sunflowers, and we had some smaller sunflowers and some variations and all this. And we were loving the sunflowers. And as would happen. Fall came and the sunflowers drooped and started to drop their seeds, and we started to harvest some of the sunflower seeds, and so there were everywhere around our property now. That last fall there were sunflowers. This year, the beginning of the year, the sunflowers start to pop up, and we decided we wanted to make sure we had that same experience. And so we made sure to do our best to kind of transplant the earliest sunflowers we saw along the fence line, and we put our human hands in the mix. Well, we have a forest of sunflowers. The whole side of our house is, I can look out my window right now and there's a 10-footer right there just staring at me, and they're everywhere. However, the ones along the fence didn't get so tall. Now it's pretty cool because now there's a forest of sunflowers, but there's a gap so we can see through out to the street. However, where we put our hands didn't go exactly according to our plans. Where we put our hands, it didn't go exactly according to our plans. But where we let go, where we just, there are sunflowers in places it's like, what? How'd they get there? And we know it's the squirrels. I totally know it's the squirrels. They move those sunflower seeds around everywhere. And what I learned in this is nature doesn't need our help, but it does appreciate when we nurture. The sunflowers are going to be what the sunflowers are going to be, whether we try to transplant them or not. And we moved the seeds. However, our attempt at control led us to, it has to be a different way. And that different way, I believe, is nurturing. Now, the definition of a nurturing is helping to grow, develop, or succeed. So I believe we have to nurture our nature. If your nature is to be out in the woods on a stream and writing a book, then let's do that. Let's get that to happen for you. Let's do that. Nurture your nature. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to go spend the next 6 weeks, 40 hours a week, sitting by a riverside trying to write a book. It might be an hour here and an hour there. It might be a little of this. It might be a little of that. But we're going to nurture, gently help grow, develop our nature. Our nature of being a God, of being godlike. Our nature, our natural call to serve humanity's evolution by being a beneficial presence on the planet. That is what I believe we are each about. That is what I believe we are each being called to be a beneficial presence on this planet in service to the evolution of human consciousness. That is what brings us to a world that works for everyone. That is how we reveal humanity's spiritual magnificence. Heartbeat, one heartbeat at a time. And we start with ourselves. Life awaits humanity's discovery of natural laws, our discovery of ourselves, who we are, and our discovery of our relationship to the greater whole. So I have to ask, what are you here to do? What is it that is your work? What is it that is your unique calling? In prayer and treatment, I often find myself on that thought that everyone on this planet is a unique emanation of God's life. And so we each bring a unique set of gifts and skills and talents to this thing called life. And so, therefore, life would be a much, much lesser place without you, without the gifts that you bring, without the skills and the talents and that unique combination that only you can bring. But you have to be willing to bring it. You have to be willing to nurture your nature, nurture your character, nurture your mental and moral qualities so that you can show up and know without question, without doubt, that you are enough, that you're never alone, that there is no need to fear failure, for everything that you are doing is another step along the journey of success, the journey of who you have come here to be. We're always, each and every one of us, being called. And here's what I've learned in 20 plus years of being a part of this philosophy is, if you pretend you can't hear the call, that's all good and well and fine, but that don't mean the call is going to stop calling. Think about what happens with your cell phone these days. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't answer a phone call unless you're already in my book. If you're not in my machine, if your name doesn't come up, I'm not going to answer that call. I have way too much going on. And 90% of them come across this spam risk anyway. So, okay, I don't need to even go there. But it doesn't mean they stop calling. The call continues. The call goes until you answer it. And then you decide what you're going to do with it. Then you either block the number, then you do this, you do that. In our own lives, the divine will never stop calling you to your greatness. We're born of greatness. We come from greatness. We create greatness. We are greatness. That is our work, to share that greatness out into the world. Are you willing? Are you willing to let the divine be your nature? To let your nature be divinity? To let yourself be an expression of natural divinity? And use the tools that we are given, our natural world, our own intuition, the pen and the journal, the visioning, the meditation, all the things that we are given, all the opportunities that are before us, to remind ourselves of our own greatness. So here's the big call of the week, folks. Here's where the rubber is really going to hit. I don't even like that. Scratch that. Never mind. Here's what I present as an opportunity for fun and for you to truly shine who you are. This week, Alice has said she's going to post the what we believe statements on the Facebook webpage. I'm going to invite you to find a creative way to express one of those principles in visual form. So if you'd like to take a picture of yourself out in nature at your favorite stream or waterfall, it's Colorado. It's a beautiful time to be out. Like, anybody said, call in sick for work. Reverend Robert told me it was okay. Go get a picture of yourself out in the world, out in nature. Go get a picture of yourself expressing one of these principles, sharing your divine nature, sharing how you express or what you love about life. One picture, that's all we ask, but put it on the Facebook page. Share with this community the divinity that is you. Because that's part of what's going to keep this community moving forward, folks. We've all got to be willing to share the divinity that is our own, that is our nature, that is our divine birthright, that is our soul's calling. We've all got to be willing to share that. That's how we create a world that works for everybody. That's how we create a world that works for all. I hear that little voice in the back of my head saying, yep, and you are complete. So let's do a prayer. If you're with me and you're in a comfortable place and a safe place to close your eyes, I invite you to please do so. As I breathe in, I feel the rush of the divine filling my soul, filling my cells, filling my lungs, filling every aspect of my beingness. I feel the truth revealing itself. And so in this moment, I recognize the divine. I recognize the divine nature of life. One, we call it God. Some call it Buddha or Brahma or Yahweh or Vishnu or Kuan Yin, Muhammad, source energy, Gaia. No matter the name, no matter the icon, no matter the image, the oneness is the same. The oneness reveals itself as everything and as no thing. The oneness reveals itself as love and light and beauty, truth and health and wealth and well-being, abundance, prosperity. You name it, that's God right there, showing up as and through everyone. So I know this oneness must reveal itself as my life perfectly, whole, complete, nothing missing, nothing absent. And as I know that truth of my life, I know it must be true of the lives of each and every one that hear these words, that is touched by the vibration being created here to this day, that sees this at another time, that just feels the thought of it somehow across the world, no matter where. We are deeply one. We are all connected in this oneness. And so where the word is spoken in one place, the word is heard vibrationally and intuitively at the soul level all across this planet. And so we bring forth in our lives a great sense of our greatness, of our divinity. I claim for each one here to recognize that you are a divine expression of God's life. You are a unique set of gifts and skills and talents that you bring what no one else is able to or capable of bringing onto this planet. And so your life, who you are, how you show up, what you believe, your life is absolutely vital to humans' evolution, to this grand and glorious trip up the spiral that we're all taking, moving into new ways of being, moving into a new demonstration of this vision, of moving into the greatness that we have come here to be. I claim for each a deep sense of knowing that that is happening right now. There's no need to push it off, no need to suffer or wait. There are no conditions that necessarily stop us from our greatness. And we can right now step into who we are, have come here to be who we are, and the amazing way we choose to serve. And as we say yes to that deep calling, we are met with instant success. Even if it doesn't seem that way, the success is true. It is there. I claim for each a deep sense of assurance that everything necessary for the fulfillment of your vision comes into your life exactly as necessary. That this is happening for everyone across the planet. That deeply we are one. And in that oneness, all things are possible. So I feel that sense of gratitude for the reminder of this truth, for the opportunity to be together in spiritual community, for the opportunity to say together, to affirm the truth of this word. And so I release this word into that law, that universal law that must demonstrate, that must take this word according to our beliefs and make it so, that could not return this word void, but must, by its very nature, demonstrate divinely. And let it be. And if any word of this has resonated in any way, please join me in an affirmation of truth as we say together, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Robert.
Thank you.
Very powerful talk.